everyone. Thank you so much for joining us again for another Ashram Talks class. Today we're going to continue exploring chapter 2 of the Bhagavad Gita, and the title of our class is Sheltered in the Guidance of a Higher Power. Today we're joined again by Chandramukhi, joining us from Australia. Welcome, Chandramukhi. How are you today?
Good, thank you. I'm so happy to be here. Thank you.
Yeah, absolutely. We're happy to have you. So without further ado, we can just get started with the verses for today whenever you're ready.
Okay. I'm just going to say my Mangalacharana first, which is a prayer praying to the lotus feet of my beloved Divine Master, Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayana Goswami Maharaj, and all my divine teachers who have provided such amazing knowledge and empowerment in the process of self-realization. So first I'm going to pray a little prayer to them. Om Agyana Timirandasya Gyananjana Shalakaya Chakshurmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Nama Om Vishnu Paraya Radhikaya Priyatmane Shishimad Bhaktivedanta Narayani Namine Gurave Gaura Chandraya Radhikaya Tadalaye Krishnaya Krishna Bhaktaya Tadabhaktaya Namo Namaha. Jai. So welcome everybody, those who are joining us online right now and those who will join us later. It's so nice to have you here, and I'm very excited about today's class. It's actually the conclusion of the introduction before Krishna starts to speak his divine instructions to Arjuna and picking up the rest of the Gita. So far we've done chapter 1, and then the beginning of chapter 2 is all like an introduction that's leading up. It's the story leading up and all of showing Arjuna's despair. And this is the final 2 slokas just before Krishna speaks to cut his illusion and ignorance and wake him up into the light. So we'll go to the verse then. The first verse is chapter 2, text 9. So it says, Sanjaya Uvacha Evam Uktva Hrishikesham Gurukesha Param Tapa Nayotya Iti Govindam Uktva Tushnimi Paduvaha. Sanjaya said, having spoken thus, Arjuna, chastiser of enemies, told Krishna, Govinda, I shall not fight, and fell silent. So Arjuna has come to the point where he's been, as we've heard, he's been completely overwhelmed. And he's been overwhelmed in grief. He's situated between the 2 armies with his dear friend Krishna, who is the Supreme Lord himself. He's situated there. He's become completely overwhelmed with compassion, with grief, with fear, lamentation, illusion, and he's just completely not able to do anything. He's become completely inactive because he's overcome, he's overwhelmed. He's torn between the contradictory ideas that we've heard about in the last so many verses. He's in a delusion about what is righteousness, what is unrighteousness. He's thinking what is the right duty is the wrong duty, and what is the wrong duty is the right duty. He's feeling like the war is unrighteous, even though it's actually his highest duty as a warrior. And he's actually naturally courageous, but his natural courage seems to be lost because his mind has become so agitated due to his love and compassion in a misplaced situation. It's misplaced love and compassion in this situation. So he's torn, and he's completely become, in his overwhelmed condition, he's become completely inactive. And he says to Krishna in this verse, he says, Govinda, I shall fight. He drops his bow. He's just given up. He's feeling helpless. He just wants to run away. So the beautiful thing here, though, is that even though he is in this condition, where is he? He is situated at the lotus feet of Govinda, of Krishna, of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, the origin of everything, the cause of all causes. And that great personality he is with right now. And through his overwhelm, and that's why we've called the verse the title of today's class, Sheltered in the Guidance of a Higher Power. So although he's overwhelmed, he takes shelter of Krishna. He takes refuge in Krishna to know what the right duty is. He cannot see the right path. He's realizing his helplessness. And the same thing happens in our life, actually, when we look at it, because as we're going through these verses, we're comparing the situations that Arjuna goes through to our life as well, so that we can see, well, how does this affect me? How does these teachings in the Bhagavad Gita relate to me in my life? So Arjuna is representing us in our battle for life. And we get different times, we get overwhelmed as well. And we become overcome. We can't see the right direction. And when we can see our helplessness and actually admit that, yes, on my own, I'm helpless. I can't see the right direction. But there is an overseer there. There is a guide there, right with us every moment. And when we turn to that inner guide, when we turn to the supreme higher power, then we start to get light in the heart. We start to see things as they are. So that's where Arjuna is. He takes shelter. He takes refuge in Krishna. He says, Govinda, I shall not fight. Even though he is known in this verse, it says Arjuna, chastiser of enemy. That's the name he's been given, which actually is in the Sanskrit is Parantapa. So the person who's narrating this, as we heard from the beginning, is Sanjaya, and he's narrating this to Dhritarashtra, who is the uncle of Arjuna and his four brothers. And Dhritarashtra is on the side of Duryodhana, the dark side, and he is hoping that in one way he's happy that Arjuna doesn't want to fight. But Sanjaya is disappointing him, saying that Parantapa, his nature is Parantapa. He's competent to kill his enemies, or chastiser of the enemies. So he's actually very, very powerful, very courageous. And Sanjaya is disappointing him by saying those words, as this is as in the words of Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, who is giving these purport. Sanjaya is disappointing him, but actually Arjuna will fight. It's just that he's overwhelmed. He's competent to fight, but he's overwhelmed with this false grief due to family affection. But he surrendered unto Krishna. And that means that very soon his overwhelm will disappear. He will see the truth. He will see the right action, and he will go on. So when we're sheltered sheltered in the guidance of a higher power, then we're safe, and our natural condition will again come back. We'll come back home to ourselves. When we get overwhelmed by these feelings, these emotions that are misplaced because we're identifying with our body, identifying with a false sense of ourselves and others around us, we become completely, it's like we lose ourselves. But when we take shelter in the higher power that's within our heart, that's within and without everything, that can see the deep inner recesses of our heart and knows us more than we know ourselves, and we take shelter of that divine personality, and very soon we will become out of that overwhelm, and we'll come back home to ourselves, to our natural state. So Arjuna will very soon be free from this false lamentation, and he will be enlightened actually through this knowledge that Krishna is about to give through the Bhagavad Gita. And so same with us, if we take shelter of the Lord in our dark times, and we pray, we call out, help my Lord, I can't see the solution to these problems, or I can't understand what to do. then the Lord in our heart will guide us from within, and He will give us this knowledge. And so this knowledge is actually for us, that He's about to give in the whole Bhagavad Gita, and that this particular chapter is specifically focusing. He's just about to specifically focus on the science of the soul and who we really are and what is our duty according to the nature of the soul. So this surrender process is a very beautiful process, and it takes one to see that I'm helpless, I'm on my own, I need the shelter of the higher power. We see our condition, not necessarily like when we put ourselves down, like having a low self-esteem. It's not like that, where and that's another false identification to not value ourselves. But actually seeing that on my own, I can't do it on my own. I can't see what is the right thing to do. So when we take shelter of God, it's like we're letting go of the control. When we're not surrendered, we're trying to control everything our way. And we have a certain limited amount of control, but actually we can't control everything. And it's actually, we need to let go, let God. Trust our inner God. So when we let go, surrender, really realizing our humble condition, the Lord is so kind and so loving, and immediately He is right there with us to guide us, just like He is with Arjuna here. We hear that in the Bible there's a famous verse, seek and you shall find, knock and the door shall be opened. So these concepts are in all the scriptures of the world. They're universal concepts, because actually we, the spirit soul, are part and parcel of God. And our real nature, our real welfare is in our loving relationship with God. And usually all of our problems that come, our overwhelm, our anxiety, our fear, ultimately it comes from forgetting that nature, forgetting that relationship that we have. But that dear friend is always with us, right next to us, in our heart, and He's always there ready to help us, just like He's going to help Arjuna. Later on in the Gita, we find some beautiful slokas that I won't go into. I'll just cover very briefly now, because we'll go into details of those later. But in chapter 10, Krishna says to Arjuna, Tesham satata yuktanam bhajatam priti purvakam dadami yogiyo buddhi yogam tam yena mam udpayanti te. So he says, to those who are constantly devoted to serving me with love, I've give the understanding by which they can come to me. And then he says, Teshevanukampartam aham ajnana jamtama nashayami atma bhavasto jnana deepena basvataha. To show them special mercy, I, dwelling in their hearts, destroy with a shining lamp of knowledge the darkness born of ignorance. So the Lord is within our heart. He's our best friend, and when we knock, when we seek, He comes and He shows us the way. And He, as He's saying in here, he with the shining lamp of knowledge, He destroys the darkness born of ignorance. And that's what He's about to do through these teachings of the Bhagavad Gita, starting in the next verse, in the next class after today's class. And not only that, through this Bhagavad Gita, He teaches the path of understanding how to come back to Him eternally, how to live with Him in the now, and then how to live with Him eternally. So the Bhagavad Gita is a priceless gem that has so many jewels. Sorry, I should say a treasure box, not just a gem. It's a treasure box, there's so many jewels. And Krishna is just about to speak these jewels to his dear friend Arjuna. So we're going to go to the verse 10 now. Let's look at verse 10. So chapter 2, verse 10. This is Krishna. Sanjaya is speaking now. He's narrating. Just when Krishna speaks to Arjuna. Tam uvacha rishikesha prahasan eva bharata senayo ubhayo madhye vishidantam idam vacha. O descendant of Bharat, at that time Krishna, smiling in the midst of both of the armies, spoke the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. So Krishna is smiling in the midst of both armies. Arjuna has given up his duty. He's become completely inactive, and he's taken shelter of Krishna. He's taken refuge in the lotus feet of the Lord, surrendered unto him. So the Lord is smiling, and then he begins to speak these words, the following words to the grief-stricken Arjuna. Now, we're not going to start those words today. We're going to unpack this verse to see what is going on here. So Krishna is smiling at his very dear friend, because his very dear friend has now become a student. And he actually is taking on the gravity of becoming a master now to dissipate Arjuna's illusion. So Arjuna and Krishna are very, very close friends. They're the same age. And they go, whenever they're in each other's company, they're like inseparable. Krishna lives in Dwarka, and Arjuna lives in Hastinapur or in Indraprastha, different parts of the story. But different times, Krishna comes to meet with Arjuna and his brothers, the Pandavas, and in their loving relationship, Krishna shows to the world that all of us actually have an eternal loving relationship with Krishna that we don't know about yet. We are spirit souls, but and part and parcel of Krishna. And we are actually the eternal servant of God. Jivera Surupahaya, Krishna Nitya Das. That is our eternal nature. But within that, in our eternal nature, we actually have a loving personal relationship with Krishna eternally that we don't know about. Actually, Krishna is waiting for us. When will they awaken that relationship so I can experience that loving relationship with them? But we're turning our face away in this world, forgotten all of this. So in Krishna's transcendental past, when he appeared on this earth, he displayed so many loving relationships as those who love him as a friend, like Arjuna, or his cowherd boyfriends in Vrindavan, or those who love him as parent in a parent mood. Krishna is their son, and they have so much love for him and have a loving relationship like that. Or as a beloved, like his wives or his paramours or his servants. Krishna has so many. He's the ocean, the reservoir of all loving mellows and relationships. So Krishna has a loving friendship with Arjuna, but now this is turned. And so in their loving friendship, Krishna is in a way ridiculing Arjuna in his loving friendship, smiling. And this is explained by Srila Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada as well as Srila Vishwanath Thakur in their commentaries, that now he's smiling because now his dear friend has become his disciple. He's taking the position of a student. And so now Krishna changes, and he's smiling, but then he takes on this gravity of a master, of a guru, to awaken Arjuna up. And, the Lord, he's actually always in the superior position. He is the master of everyone. He is the cause of all causes. He is the origin of everyone. But he takes on the role. He actually becomes controlled by the love of his dear, near devotees, his friends, his sons, or as a son, or as a lover. And when his devotees want to accept that role, he becomes controlled by that love. But now he's smiling because although Arjuna was controlling him by his love before, now Krishna is becoming back into that position, controller of the Supreme Lord and the Supreme Guru. Actually, all spiritual masters are coming from Krishna. He is the original spiritual master, specifically for those who know in his form as Baladev. But actually, Krishna is the master, the guru, and it is through guru that Krishna speaks to us. So now Krishna's taking on that role, and he's smiling because now Arjuna's becoming his dear friend. Arjuna is becoming his disciple, his student. And actually, Krishna is the best friend of everyone. He's in our hearts. He's everywhere around us, as he teaches later in the Gita to Arjuna. He's our nearest and dearest friend. He can see deep into our heart, our desires, our story, our history. Nobody else knows us like he knows us. Nobody else can know our history, can know our feelings, our desires at every minute. Like in some ways, it's like a reel. Like you go back over a movie and you can see all the different minutes of the movie. How can we express that to anybody else? It's only Krishna who knows that intimately, knows our story. He's with us forever. He's been with us for billions and billions of lifetimes. And he's always there as our friend and well-wisher. There's a story I want to tell that I heard once from Vaishnava that illustrates this quite nicely. So there was a king in India and he had 4 wives. And he was a powerful king. He had a good kingdom. He was a good king, and he ruled very nicely. But he, as life happens, he grew older. But he had four wives, and the first wife he loved the most. He spent so much time with this wife, always in her company. The second wife was the most beautiful wife. And with this wife, he would take her places to show her off, show how beautiful she was. He would take her to all the royal assemblies and meetings and things. So she would always be accompanying him to different royal engagements. And he also loved her so much. The third wife he also loved very much, and she specifically was very intelligent, and he would have so many conversations with her. He could consult her on so many things. She was very intelligent and had a lot of insightful wisdom, so he loved her company. The fourth wife he didn't have affection for at all. He never spent time with her. He neglected her, and he wasn't. He didn't give her much attention. So he was growing older, and it was time soon. He knew that it was actually going to be time. He was getting ill. It was time for him to leave his body. Now in India, the people are very traditional, especially traditional Vedic culture. Everyone is very aware that they're not the body. They're not their spirit soul, and that death does not mean the end. That death means that it's only the death of the body, as Krishna is about to teach in the Gita. And the soul goes on to another body. So he knew that, and he knew that he would be going on. And there was a tradition at that time, which is it's called the Sati tradition, where the wives, or at least one wife, would accompany the king on the funeral pyre and go with him to his next birth. So they would die with him voluntarily. And they loved the king so much they wanted to. It was never forced. They never had to do it. Because they knew that they would be going on with him to another birth. They would be together. So the king, he approached his different wives, and he approached his first wife, who he loved the most, and he said, will you come with me on the funeral pyre? And she immediately said, no, I definitely won't come with you. No. And he was somewhat disappointed because he loved her the most. And he thought, oh, she's not going to come with me. Then he approached his second wife, who was the most beautiful wife. Surely she will come with me. And when he approached her, he was horrified because she said, no, I'll definitely not come with you. I'll marry someone else as soon as you leave. He was shocked. Goodness. He'd given his whole life to both of these wives, and they wouldn't come to him. And she was even saying she's going to marry someone else. And then he came to his third wife, and he said, she said, will you come with me? And he, will you come with me and accompany me on the funeral pyre? And she said, no, look, I love you so much. I'll come with you to the doorway. I'll come with you to the crematorium, and I'll be there, but I can't come with you. So these wives that he'd loved so much, he put so much energy into them, they wouldn't come with him. He was shocked. Then he thought about his fourth wife, who he had barely ever spent time with and he'd neglected. And he thought, there's no way she'll come with me, but I'll ask her anyway. So he went to his fourth wife, and he asked her, soon I'm going to be leaving this world. Will you come with me on the funeral pyre? She looked at him with so much affection. He said, "You've neglected me your whole life. I've been waiting for you to give me some attention. I've only wanted the best for you, but you've always neglected me. You've never given me affection. You've never spent time with me. But I love you. Yes, I will come with you." So he was amazed. And actually, this teaching has this story is an analogy. There's some deep analogies within this story. So the first one is the wife represents ourselves. He represents our body, and so the first wife is the one he loved the most. So it's the one he spent the most time with. So that represents ourselves, our body. We actually love ourselves the most. So our body will never be able to come with us when we die. The second wife, most beautiful wife, represents all the possessions of wealth that we own. So when we die, can our possessions and wealth come with us? They can't. They marry someone else. They go somewhere else. Someone else is going to get them. And the third wife represents the one he had intelligent conversations with. That represents his family, his friends, and they also can't come with us to the next birth. They actually come with us to the doorway, but they'll send us off. Haribol, bye-bye. We'll see you again in the future, hopefully, but we don't know. And we'll miss you, but we can't come with you. So the fourth wife, who does the fourth wife represent? The one we're neglecting. That represents God in our heart. The one we generally, I mean, if we're very lucky, we learn from a child that we should try and remember to serve God. But not, generally the case is that we get absorbed in our material lives. We get absorbed in everything else but God. And so we neglect him our whole life generally. We never look at him. We never think of him. We never give attention or affection. But he's such a close friend that even when we neglect him, even when we turn our faces away, he's always waiting there. Has so much affection for us and is just waiting no matter what we do. Whether we hate him, whether we love him, he always loves us. And so that nearest and dearest friend, Krishna, is situated on the battlefield of Kurukshetra with Arjuna as Arjuna's nearest friend. And he's also our nearest and dearest friend who's been with us lifetime after lifetime after lifetime, forever. And that relationship is eternal from now, from forever, from past, present, future. He's always with us and loves us so much. He accompanies us through all of our births. So this dear friend Krishna smiles, and I'm sure when we turn to him, he'll also be smiling. Yes, he is my friend, and he is ready to guide us, give us knowledge within our heart, and awaken us to the truth. And then he's speaking this Bhagavad Gita then because he's shining the light in the darkness. He's giving these transcendental instructions, and sometimes there's been people who are actually, and I'm sure many of you have even had this experience where you cry out to the Lord, and then He even guides us to the Bhagavad Gita. This book comes alive in our heart, and there's so many beautiful teachings. So when He's taking the position of Guru, the teacher, the spiritual guide, the divine guide, Krishna is dissipating the darkness. The words guru means darkness, and ru means light. So bringing one out of the darkness into the light. And one nature of the guru, the spiritual teacher, is like a lotus flower. And this is the position Krishna is taking. Like a lotus flower, situated within the water, but yet above the water. No connection with this world. The water's like the world. So Krishna's in this world, but he's above the world. He's not of the world. Just like the spiritual teacher, the spiritual guide. A real guru is like that. And, many people can get a bit hesitant about accepting a guru in their life or a teacher because they think it's going to be separate from themselves and they're going to be given an instruction or a teaching that's going to be different to what they wanted to do, or they're going to have to give up their independence, or things like that. But real guru is actually the representative of God, in our heart. And so all the teachings that come from such a divine master, they resonate within our heart, because the guru is in the heart and the guru is out of the heart. Krishna is in our heart and he's everywhere. And so the guru, who is a representative of God, just as Krishna is taking that position right now, gives guidance that resonates with the heart, resonates with the inner guru in our heart, and confirms everything that we're wanting and seeking. And brings out so much satisfaction that we feel at home in ourselves, at home in our direction, and shines a light of what we should do to solve these problems, how to act in the right way that will bring real benefit for myself and others. So I just wanted to touch on that, because obviously Krishna is going to touch on that later in the Gita when he speaks specifically about the divine guide. But this is the role he's taking, to be that, like a guru to Arjuna, to be the master who knows the truth and will awaken Arjuna to the truth, to the reality. So I'll conclude now. And in one commentary by one of our past teachers, great teachers, his name is Sri Ramanujacharya, he quotes Sri Yamunacharya, who is his master, who's saying that the introduction to the Shastra, which is the scripture, was begun for the sake of Arjuna, whose mind was agitated by misplaced love and compassion, and by the delusion that righteousness was unrighteousness, and who took shelter in Krishna. So that's kind of like we're coming up to this, we're concluding this first part where Arjuna has been the cause of these teachings that are about to take place, where he's been in a delusion about what is right and what is wrong, and he's taken refuge in Krishna now. And then Krishna, from the next verse in text 11, delivers these very powerful instructions and teachings for the world. And he begins with discussing the real nature of the self, the real nature of the supreme self. Then he gradually works through the different paths one can take in this life, which is the path of work or karma, the path of knowledge or gyan, and the path of devotion, bhakti, which constitutes the means for attaining the highest spiritual fulfillment. So, so now we've concluded the beautiful introduction to this divine transcendental literature, and looking to hearing Krishna's first instructions in text 11 in the next class. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you so much, Chandramukhi, and everyone for joining us. Definitely, I think you've challenged us to reflect more throughout the week on this idea of shelter and, taking shelter. So thank you so much again, and we look forward to seeing you again soon.
Thank you.
Thank you, everyone who was joining us today. Again, if anyone is interested in diving a little bit deeper into the theme we're exploring today, or is interested in connecting with one of our speakers at more of a personal level, feel free to leave your comments on this video, or you can also connect with us on Instagram at Ashram Talks ENG. So we'll see you Thursday at 8 a.m. to continue with Chapter 6 of the Bhagavad Gita.